send Kamara that way as well. It's 3rd down and 10. 4-man rush. Breeze hangs in the pocket, throws wide open. Is he inbounds is the question. Smith for the touchdown. Traquan Smith in the end zone. They left him alone.
Hello and welcome into Tigers Roar. I'm Jonathan Poche, joined by the Budman Buddy Songy here on a Wednesday evening with a little fist bump for you. Happy to have you here with us. Don't forget, check us out on social media, youtube.com/Pelican Broadcast, and catch up with everything we've been doing here on the Pelican. We'll jump right into it, Budman. Crazy week for SEC football, including the LSU Tigers. Game against Bama is postponed. Of course, that is the big story of the week. But 3 other games in SEC are also postponed. But here's the catch. They have a spot to go on December 12th. You know, the LSU Tigers have already scheduled that date with Florida with the makeup. But, man, you have to kind of feel like LSU, down Miles Brennan, still a lot of questions about the defense. They kind of dodged a bullet. Not to say that COVID isn't serious, but if you're going to cancel a game, this might not have been a bad one to cancel.
Good to see you. Good to see everybody out there. By the way, it is tradition. I'm going to wear the sunglasses just for the first segment because it is traditional after LSU gets beat in football that we wear the sunglasses. And if you remember the 48-11 debacle against Auburn, then you want to wear these sunglasses. And I don't think anybody's going to watch that tape ever again this year. That being said, 4 games in the conference postponed. 3 this week will be played. It's happening all over the country. It's happening with high school. And as you appropriately said at the beginning, I have never, ever seen a year as good as last year was. This year is unfortunately just as bad for a variety of reasons that we've been talking about. But, you know, when LSU and Florida got postponed, if you remember, everybody said, well, it's probably a good thing because Miles Brennan was hurt and wouldn't play. And you didn't want to start a true freshman, whether it be TJ or Max Johnson, on the road in the swamp in their first game. So that one got postponed and got rescheduled for December 12th. And then this one, we heard late last week that LSU had some COVID numbers. And here's the skinny, folks, and many of you are having to deal with it, not even football teams, but in regular life. If you get a family member that tests positive for COVID-19, those that have been around them have to quarantine. And this is not about the number of COVID positive tests. This is about the contact tracing. And LSU was down to 1 scholarship quarterback, no tight ends, no deep snappers, and very thin at DB. You had TJ Finley. And after that, everybody else was a crapshoot as to who would be the backup quarterback.
Read a rumor that they were trying other players at quarterback. You have to assume that Jonte Kirkland would have got at least some of those snaps.
He would have got the Wildcat snaps. And of course, A.J. Aycock is another kid that's a walk-on. That all being said, this contact tracing has really put a dent because, once again, you can't have under 53 scholarships. We know LSU's numbers this year are as light and as minimal as you've ever seen. And so, yes, it was a blessing in disguise. Nobody wants to wave the white flag, but this thing would not have been watchable had LSU and Alabama played and LSU had all those people that were out. Now, here's the skinny. Coach Joe said on the teleconference today 2 things in case you missed it, folks. Miles Brennan, they're going to make a decision in the near future about whether it's even worth him trying to come back and play. The year is a throwaway year. He's got an abdominal and rib situation. When you raise your arm and you're getting hit all in this area, you're not just going to snap your fingers and come back and be healthy there. So whether or not it requires surgery, rest, or whatever, that is going to be something that we'll find out moving forward with JP. So now you're looking like, as we move forward, LSU is going to have 2 scholarship quarterbacks. Now, Johnson, we don't know if he tests positive for COVID-19 or if he was in the quarantine because of contact tracing. That being said, those guys, those 2 freshman quarterbacks, will lead LSU. And the question is, can you tweak the schedule, knowing that Alabama is more than likely going to play Florida on the night of December 19th, So this is something we've talked about on TV as well as radio and internet. Do you start adding some games on the 19 early in the morning, 11 o'clock all the way till 2:30,
right.
Get that out the way, and then you have the big boy at 7 o'clock with Florida and Alabama,
right.
assuming those two teams. But, hey, you gotta change more than just LSU and Alabama's schedule. You got to fool with Arkansas, you got to fool with Ole Miss or whatever. So this has been something that the conference, Greg Sankey, the athletic directors, the teams, the programs, have never had to deal with before.
Well, you mentioned Greg Sankey, and he said it to press earlier today that this is a week unlike any other week he's ever experienced. I mean, how does a guy like Sankey navigate these waters with so much unknown? You want to keep the players safe. You want to keep the fans safe. Ultimately, got to get the games in, right? I mean, LSU, Alabama, that's a lot of money. They got to play that game.
Hey, I had a very spicy conversation a little hour and a half ago on the radio, and one of the guys says, I don't think they're going to play. And I said, let me tell you what, Scott Woodward needs that game. They already had projected $80 million in the hole this year, and LSU's got 2 scheduled home games left, Ole Miss and Bama. They have 3 games scheduled on the road, at Arkansas, at Texas A&M, and, of course, the aforementioned Florida game, which was postponed. You still got to go back to Gainesville, and that game is slated for December 12th in the Swamp. So it's just been crazy. We want all of you to stay safe. As good as last year was, this year has been the opposite. But you know what, and I said this today, I'm a football fan, and at least we have football. And I got to tell you, as we kind of segue a little bit into this, you and I were texting on Sunday night, and when I text you and I said, man, they're wearing the Color Rush unis tonight. Yep. JP says it's the best uniform in all of the NFL. Well, how lucky are we to have the awesome LSU white jersey and uni and the Color Rush? And, man, look, Sean Payton and those guys deserved to be dancing because they had a statement game and made one heck of a statement Sunday night at Tampa Bay.
Well, that's a great way to put it. I mean, they made a statement to the NFC South and to the rest of the NFC, the entire league, that the Saints have a very talented roster. And when they bring it all together, offense, defense, and special teams, they are a true Super Bowl contender. They came out high in the polls, the power rankings this week. Total dismantling. I mean, the first half was a wash. You didn't have to watch the second half. And this is Tom Brady on the other side. Picked them off 3 times. Marshawn Lattimore against Mike Evans is quickly becoming one of the top rivalries in the NFL. Marshawn straps it on when he sees Mike Evans on the other side. He likes his shadow from side to side. Mike Evans, again, 0 catches against Marshawn Lattimore when targeted. It was only twice, but that's because he's not open. You can't throw it that way.
Yeah.
Blanketed.
Well, and, you know, you and I were texting during the game, and, of course, Chris Collinsworth had not done his homework, but he should have been saying that. And, you know, it was interesting. Look, I'm not going to lie to anybody. I thought Tampa Bay was going to take them out back and win by 7 to 13 points. I really did, and I think everybody in the country thought that. All of the picks on NBC, every slap one of them was Tampa Bay. And now, all of a sudden, just on one game. So now, folks, here's the deal. On a head-to-head, LSU, as we know last year, went 15-0, and everything fell into place. I'm starting to feel like that karma the Tigers had last year is going up the road to New Orleans. Now they've got the tiebreaker. They're 2-0 against Tampa Bay, so they're not going to lose to Tampa Bay unless they choke and lose a game inexplicably. But when you look at the next few games, including the 49ers coming in here to the Dome this weekend, buddy, everybody is struggling. So the Saints need to go week to week. But I never would have thought we'd be saying after that game, they have a great chance now to have some home field advantage. Maybe not overall for the whole way, but I think now they're going to host a first-round playoff game in the Superdome.
The Saints are a team that were 1-2, got down a quick 10 points against Detroit, came back to win that game, have won 5 in a row, 13-3 Sunday Night Football, Sean Payton and Drew Brees. That is pretty good. The head-to-head, Drew Brees gets Tom Brady. 5-2, Drew Brees better than Tom Brady in their face-to-face matchups.
By the way, Drew Brees, I loved it. He ascended and passed. He went beep beep like the old road runner. Went right by Tom Brady with the career touchdown passes thrown. Of course, everybody knows that Drew Brees broke the record of Peyton, and now Brady was one up going into this game. After that game, Drew Brees is up 3. So great game. And it's kind of interesting. I had a buddy of mine who's been telling me for 3 years that Drew Brees is washed up and he had a noodle arm. So he calls me during the game and he said, "What are you eating?" I said, "I'm eating mac and cheese. That's the best noodle arm I've ever seen in my life." And he didn't really get the joke until I texted him later. But hey, one thing about Drew Brees and Sean Payton, every time you back up the bus and say, "That's it," they prove you wrong.
Well, I'll tell you what, it was Sean Payton's probably his best game of the season play calling. And finally, Taysom Hill, everything worked. He had a catch. He had a couple runs. He was the leading rusher for the Saints, over 50 yards. Alvin Kamara, of course, he's special. It was good to give him some time off for that second half because he was a little banged up during the week. He missed a couple practices. Along with Drew Brees, I think that was more just to get the soreness out. When you're over 40, but, man, it's tough to do things sometimes. But Drew Brees, absolutely surgical Sunday night. Beat Tampa Bay. It wasn't even close. Here's a rule change I heard. I kind of thought about it. If you're down by 21 in the NFL, should you be allowed to kick field goals?
Well, look, that was pride and joy, and they did not want to get shut out, and every coach and every player. By the way, I'm looking for something on Monday night, okay? And New England has struggled with the loss of Tom Brady. Also, don't forget they had 8 opt-outs before the season, more than any other NFL team. But I'm watching Adam Gase, and the Jets are up 10 over New England in the second half, in the fourth quarter, actually. And lo and behold, this guy did everything to choke the game. And speaking of field goals, I'm going to make a case right now. Adam Gase is not going to be the coach of the Jets more than another year. If they don't fire him after this year, I guarantee you 6 games in next year, he'll get cut. But listen to this. Cam Newton, who is a shadow of himself, he's a sham. Right. He's not a great quarterback. Right. He leads them down there. They have a 51-yarder. And guess what he saved, Adam Gase saved for lunch on Tuesday? A freaking timeout.
Yeah, that's right.
You freeze the kicker. JP, they're 0-9 now, and you don't even freeze the kicker. What message are you sending to your team? You don't care. Right. And I hate to say this, folks, but everybody knows it out there. There's a lot of disconnect with LSU and the defense and Pelini and the team. It's been an incredible amount of departures, 35-plus players, 3 coaches. Hang in there. They're still doing great things in recruiting. But at that line of scrimmage, the way I see it, JP, you use these last 4 or 5 games that the Tigers have to start building up some of these freshmen and try to get them in the mix because you got to get back at the line of scrimmage. And look, when you lose Cushenberry and all those offensive line and you lose all those D-lines, those linebackers, safeties, I mean, we could sit here and talk about every position. It's going to be a rebuild, not a reload, and it might take a year and a half or 2, but don't count the Tigers out. But they got some tough work to do with recruiting and developing in the trenches.
Right, and everything you just said really points to me, to the LSU Tigers accepting the bowl game, no matter where it is, just to get those extra practice days.
Well, we had this discussion, and in case you don't know, folks, there's 2 different rules that most of you probably are smart enough to realize. Number 1, whether you play or not this year in college, you do not lose a year of classification. Right. So Miles Brennan will be a junior next year at LSU. The other thing is that regardless of your record, and it used to be you had to have a winning record or 500, they would let you go to a bowl game at 6-6. But now you could be 3-7 and still get invited to a bowl game. Yep. But JP, would this team want to play this year? And more so than anything, how would you sell the fact that you'd have fans come follow a team that's 3-7? Right. But you made a great point. It gives Coach O another 10, 12 practices or wherever it is, depending on the bowl and the date, to get those guys developed, especially those young guys.
I mean, some of the young guys that just need time to work out. We have a whole lot more here on Tigers Roar, some LSU football. We'll talk some more Saints. We have some tape for you, Drew Brees, Sean Payton. We'll also look around the NFC and see what other teams might match up with the Saints. That and a whole lot more here on Tigers Roar. Come back and join us after this break.
Hi, I am Dr. Farrell Frugier Jr., and I am a general dentist at Frugier Family Dentistry. I was born and raised in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I went to Catholic High School, LSU, and LSU School of Dentistry in New Orleans, where I received my DDS degree in 1986. I always have and will continue to be committed to continuing my education, to invest in technology which makes the diagnosis and delivery of dentistry more thorough, more comfortable, and more aesthetically pleasing. In our practice, we are here to serve the patients. We want to improve their quality of life and to develop relationships with our patients. In dentistry, we have a chance to impact lives on a daily basis, not just by doing dentistry, but by getting to know them and being a part of their life. We also believe in giving back to our community. So every year, we give back to the Greater Baton Rouge Food Bank, Toys for Tots, and Mary Bird Perkins Cancer Center. Please stop by and visit our office. We would love to take care of you and your family.
Hello guys, it's Debbie. It's time. I've got a brand new location. 10510 Airline Highway, Baton Rouge, next to After 5 Tuxedos. We have the perfect spot to get all your wedding and formal wear needs. Come see our one-of-a-kind name brand and get great prices. With 30 years experience, the best customer service anywhere. It's Debbie's Bridal, Airline Highway, Baton Rouge. See you soon.
Hi, I'm Bobby Yarborough with Manda Fine Meats. Here at Manda, we know what the folks of South Louisiana love. They love great flavored smoked sausage, delicious deli meats, and specialty items like boudin and andouille sausage. Manda Fine Meats has been providing these products since 1947. We produce them right here in Baton Rouge, so you know you're always getting the freshest product at your local grocery store. Manda Fine Meats. Taste the fresh local flavor in everything we make. Make it Manda every time.
Live and play on the fairway at Greystone Golf and Country Club, a serene, challenging golf destination located in Denham Springs. For tee times and membership opportunities, go to GreystonecountryClub.com.
Welcome back to Tigers Roar. Jonathan Poche, Buddy Songy. Yeah, the sunglasses on the first segment for the Auburn game.
They're off, and we'll recap LSU Auburn. But JP, look, we had this for a 4 or 5 month period. Are they going to play? Are they not going to play? Right. What are going to be the ramifications? And so, as we know, let's give credit where credit is due. The SEC, the ACC, and the Big 12 were at the forefront and said, we want to play and we're going to do everything in our power to play. The Big 10 and the Pac-10 took their ball and went home. And as we know, a lot of politics involved, a lot of lobbying involved, a lot of people involved with this was not a simple situation. Now, the SEC was at the cutting edge, and they thought that the virus was going to first of all, it was supposed to burn out in the summer. That didn't happen.
I heard that.
And then they thought the later we started the season, the better it would be that we would have a handle on the virus and we'd know a little bit more. That all being said, as we know, they started September 26th. And lo and behold, we start playing and everything's all fine and dandy. And now here, Greg Sankey dealing with the worst week that he's had to work with. And right. Contingency plans. So my quick question to you is, do they get the final 5 games in, and how do you see them play in Alabama?
Sad truth, it's going to be really tough for them to schedule that game. I mean, the SEC Championship, you mentioned it. I mean, it's
no, they can't play Bama on 19th.
No, not the 19th. But when are they going to play that game?
Well, there are a couple of opportunities, and I threw this out. You could change when you play Ole Miss or Arkansas and then play them on the 19th. Now, the problem is that you got to see who Alabama plays on that day.
Right.
So one of the things that could actually work, and we're waiting to see, we expect this to come down this weekend. So by the time we do the show next week, we should know definitively what's happening. But if LSU plays Arkansas next Saturday, next Saturday they play Alabama. Okay. And then they move Arkansas to the morning of the 19th. Then Alabama just has to tweak one game to make it work. I think Alabama with Kentucky. So, look, the conferences are losing out of the you-know-what.
Right.
They want to get some back. And did you know LSU was going to have a little bit more than 25% capacity for the Alabama game? They started emailing the season ticket holder base, but guess what the problem is? Nobody wants to go. Nobody wants to see.
Strange year, right?
And nobody, look, with the two good teams, you know how many points LSU scored against Alabama the last two times at Tiger Stadium?
Right.
10-0, 29-0.
Right.
So it's not a good history with LSU and Bama, but let's just hope that we have some kind of clearance. The problem is every time you put something on the table and say, hey, we're going to do this, this, and this, you still can't forecast the future on COVID-19, contact tracing, and what other teams in the future, like Arkansas, they're playing Florida this weekend without their head coach, Sam Pittman. So for everybody out there that's had to deal with it, whether you had it personally, you had a family member, or you know somebody in school or whatever, stay safe, be smart. But this thing is serious, but on the other hand, hospitalizations, all the other negative deaths, the deaths and all that stuff, all those things are going down. So it's something that you monitor and worry, and it's going to be tough to get those 5 games, but they will definitely have to tweak the schedule to make it happen.
Okay, starting this whole conversation over, October 31st, I know with the election and all of that, it seems like forever ago, but Halloween, LSU got manhandled by Auburn. Final score was ugly, but I think it could have been worse. LSU fans have now turned from the team that was beating everybody in 2019 to the fans that now want mercy with 10 minutes left in the fourth quarter when a team throws for a touchdown on you when they're already up by 40 points. Look, the defense is out there to stop people, right, Bud, man? I mean, a lot of things went wrong against Auburn. Could they possibly have got enough of those things fixed if they were playing a game this week against Bama?
No. I'm sorry. There's a disconnect with the defensive players and Bo Pelini at this point. And let's be honest, TJ Finley played in his first game much the way that we all anticipated him. That was awesome. Yeah. But he played in his second game like the way we thought he would play in the first game. Right. He was outstanding against South Carolina, who, by the way, got beat 48-3. So Will Muschamp is going to get paid probably $12 to $15 million to sit on the beach with his wife over in Destin in the coming years. He's not going to make it over there. Lo and behold, though, T.J. Finley, Max Johnson, all that's left. You got to establish some semblance of the run game. Auburn didn't even have Derek Brown and their superstars on the D-line. It was 0-0 at the end of the first quarter, but you could just watch the game and see Finley was off. You could see that, and any time you have turnovers, there were -2 turnovers, had a pick 6 and a fumble return. JP, you can't do it on the road, and you can't do it in competitive games. So what he's got to do is get back, and number one, you got to win the turnover battle, regardless of what game's moving forward. You got to establish some semblance of the line of scrimmage and play better there. And you got to make some big plays. And when you see Jacoby Stevens at the 4.5-yard line, and Bo Nix wants to get in the end zone, I'm not saying those guys laid down or quit. I know. But they're just not making the plays they made last year on defense. Right, and it's not just defense. I mean, the offense obviously struggled behind Finley. The run game, you mentioned it. Offensive line had a very tough time opening up any holes or giving Finley time to throw. Did think he held on to the ball a little bit long, but the kid is a freshman. Coming off an outstanding game against South Carolina, he was kind of feeling a little too poised in the pocket, I think. I mean, when you have success that early in your career,
you think it's going to happen all the time, and really came crashing back down to reality against Auburn. The kid's going to be a star, no doubt about it. Max Johnson's also going to be a very good quarterback.
And I thought he got better as the game went on.
I agree, but after that, you have the walk-ons. If you lose Brennan for the season, which looks like it could be quite possible, one of those guys is going to have to show that not only they can do it, but they can do it more consistently, and that's what it's going to be all about. And that's going to be tough, real tough.
I think you're going to play two quarterbacks in each game, and let me tell you why. Because Max Johnson gives you the Joe Burrow effect,
right?
Not with all the things Joe brought to the table, but with his legs.
Yeah.
And he can make some plays with his legs, and I think TJ, as we saw, is more of an upright, a kind of a sluggish runner. Yeah, he can, because he's 6'6", he can lean and get you half a yard when they push him from the fullback spot.
Right.
But Max Johnson gives you a little bit of RPO option, and I think Coach Hensminger and Coach Linehan like a little bit of that. Here's another question that we're going to deal with, and I'm not trying to be negative here, but as we get towards the end of the season, guys like Terrace Marshall, when there's not much to play for, at what point do they go into the coach and say, hey, coach, I'm opting out for the last game or two?
Yep.
Hope that doesn't happen.
Yep.
But, you know, we know that this has just been a year that's unlike it. Now, the good things is this, and we'll talk to Mike Scarborough in a little bit. They are knocking them dead with recruiting. And what do you say the worst spots on the field this year, where you say linebacker and you say safety? They've got 4 safeties, including Sage Ryan and Derek Davis Jr., who, from Pennsylvania, everybody thought he'd go to Penn State. He comes to visit LSU on his own with his mom and family. They go to Baton Rouge. They go to New Orleans. He commits. He's a top 100 player. Sage Ryan, they beat Alabama for him.
Yep.
So they've got help coming in. But where's the beef? You got to finish with 2 big offensive linemen and 2 big defensive linemen, if not more, to make it work. Because really, LSU fans know this. You build a house with the foundation, and you got to reestablish the line of scrimmage with recruiting again, JP.
That's absolutely right. I want to ask Mike about the situation with Coy Moore. Obviously, the details haven't all been released yet. Nobody knows the full story. There are 2 sides to every story. My concern is these young kids on social media. That's where I got the news. So I'm sure a lot of young kids across this nation got the news the very same way with Coy Moore releasing his experience with the police officer in Baton Rouge. Like I said, we don't know all the details, so I'm not going to judge a kid. I don't know Coy Moore personally. We don't know everything that happened. But they're getting his story from him straight from the horse's mouth, and that's what they're taking in. You got to think that they would feel Coy Moore felt violated, or how he felt he texted out or tweeted out or put on his Instagram, whatever it was. So his perception was he got treated unfairly. I'm really hoping a lot of kids out there aren't thinking, well, hey, you go to Baton Rouge and this is how you get treated. Look, I want to get Mike's take on it. He's the expert, obviously, on recruiting. Now, LSU had a bang-up week, another one, been killing them, like you said. The kid from St. Thomas More to come along with Walker Howard, the quarterback.
Jack Besh.
He's going to be a big get.
He'll be in the slot or an H-back. And back to Coy Moore. Look, I don't know any of the details on what happened, so I'm not going to say much about it. I'll say this. I like the fact that they have been very transparent, and they've been on this from the get-go. And Chief Murphy Paul and everybody concerned, LSU, Coach O, everybody, they're having a full investigation. And once again, if it's a rampant use of problems, then that'll be something that we move forward from. But, look, bottom line is that this is reality. This is happening everywhere, and let's just hope that when the smoke clears, there will be some lessons learned from both parties. I will say this. You're a lot younger than me. I'm a private guy. You probably post stuff on social media. I don't. The fact that it was first posted on social media, this is the way things happen. It's just like when Cardell Thomas posts something negative about Coach O on social media. You can't take it down, okay? It's like the spoken word. You can't erase it, okay?
Yeah.
So I hope that we learn, and I hope that we end up coming out with some real answers where we can make this situation a positive, not a negative. And I will tell you this. I'm sure there's two sides of the story, and I just don't think it's fair for anybody to be judge or jury until we find out what all the details really happen.
Exactly. I will say, I had to tip the cap to Coy Moore. I mean, obviously the country is hypersensitive to this type of situation right now going on in a society, but for him, first of all, to have made it through the situation without something terrible happening and then filing the report, he absolutely handled it well. I mean, I'm not saying black or white or whatever. It can happen to anybody, absolutely, but you should see those incidences turn so bad so fast. Thank God everybody came out safe. He did file a report. The police body cam footage has not been released to the press yet. They're still investigating. And since he's an LSU football player in the limelight, they're going to do a very thorough investigation, and the guilty parties will be punished, in my opinion.
Well, and listen, as far as the overall team, I mean, we've talked about it at length, and it's not to beat up anybody, but we said this. If LSU had won that game, they'd be 3-2, a game over 500. It's first quarter. You knew Finley wasn't playing great. You knew Marshall had a couple drops. You knew you wasn't getting the first downs. You wasn't getting the breaks. And all of a sudden, a game that goes 0-0 goes 21-0 real quick. Boom, boom, boom. And so you start to shift what your aspirations are. And let's not sugarcoat it. There's a lot of people that think that, there was some dogging and there was some quit in the second half. And that is where I think, and I talked to the old ball coach about this a couple times, I think everybody's got to get in the room and say their piece. Whether it's a players-only meeting, whether it's a coaches-only meeting, or whether it's everybody to get together. I think there's some disconnect within the framework of that team with coaches right now. And I think they need to air all of that to see if it can help. The other thing, folks, you just don't say, JP, you're going to be a leader, Marty, you're going to be a leader. You just can't say you be a leader.
Right.
People follow leaders, but it's not something you read in a book. You either have it or you don't.
Yep.
My mama was sweet and spicy, and I got the spicy. My sister got the sweet, okay? But this team has lacked leadership. They've lacked physicality, and this is a finesse team. When you start talking about when you see the wheel route with Florida, and they abused Georgia until the fourth quarter. It took Kirby Smart 3 quarters to get it fixed. Alabama. Oh, by the way, do you remember the tape Kerry Vincent let out on social media about what Coach O said?
Yep.
You think that's been rolling around over there? They wanted not only to win but make a statement. So what I'm saying to you folks, you see the same people on the way up as you do on the way down.
Yep.
And this is going to be a real gut check to see how the Tigers finish this season this year.
Another quick break. We'll come back, talk some AP Top 25 poll. Alabama at the top. Of course, we had Notre Dame moving to number 2 spot after a big win over Clemson without Trevor Lawrence. We'll talk about that and a whole lot more, including Mike Scarver from TireBreak.com. He'll be on with us a little bit later, excuse me. Come back and join us right here. He's the Budman, Buddy Songy. I'm Jonathan Poche, and you are watching Tigers Roar.
Creel Tree Service is a licensed and insured tree service providing tree and stump removal, topping, trimming, cabling, pruning, and fertilizing. We have free stump removal with takedowns, free estimates, affordable rates, and senior citizens discounts. Call 774-TREE. That's 774-8733. Get your yard ready for the warmer weather. If it deals with a tree, call me, Creel Tree Service, 774-8733. That's 774-TREE.
Hi, I'm Hurricane Betsy Barnes.
And I'm Dr. Kay Siller with the Rocket Right Show.
We are two busy blondes on the go showing off life in Louisiana.
Watch us on Pelican Sports Network.
And Talk 107.3 FM. Check local listings for times.
Hello guys, it's Debbie. It's time. I've got a brand new location. 10510 Airline Highway, Baton Rouge, next to After 5 Tuxedos. We have the perfect spot to get all your wedding and formal wear needs. Come see our one-of-a-kind name brand and get great prices. With 30 years experience, the best customer service anywhere. It's Debbie's Bridal, Airline Highway, Baton Rouge. See you soon.
Louisiana's #1 Honda dealer welcomes you to our biggest clearance sale of the year, the Happy Honda Days sales event. Get year-end clearance pricing on over 900 new Hondas, plus a complimentary lifetime powertrain warranty with every new Honda. Save thousands on your new Honda right here at Team Honda.
Caught spiders. Premier Pest Services.
I've seen a lot of things during my life, more bad things than good. I've lived in a lot of places, but never a home. I don't think anybody cares about me anymore. And now I'm tired. Signed, Brian, age 11.
Abused and neglected children in East Baton Rouge Parish are in dire need of CASA volunteers. Please call 379-8598 today. Change a life of hurt into a life of hope.
Hello. Hola. Ni hao.
Experience what the Baton Rouge International School can offer your children. Now welcoming displaced students for short and long-term stability.
And welcome back to Tigers Roar. Jonathan Poche, Buddy Songy here. I want to remind you guys, check us out on social media. We're on YouTube, youtube.com/Pelican Broadcasting. It's a great way to keep up with everything we do here at the Pelican. Lots going on, daily content. Got the women going to tape with the Rocket Right. Betsy Barnes, Dr. K. Solar are going to tape Rocket Right right after we're done. The new episode is going to air tomorrow, Thursday the 12th. Check that out and a whole lot more on our YouTube page. While you're there, don't forget to subscribe. That way you know every time something new comes out here at the Pelican. But, man, jump right back into it. The AP Top 25 for this week. Clemson falls a little bit after the loss to Notre Dame. Alabama moves into that #1 spot. And I got to tell you, the Crimson Tide have been looking pretty good post-Tua.
Well, when you talk about the three players that I think are at the top of the Heisman list, Mac Jones has been phenomenal. He's had a year very similar to Joe Burrow. Now, He didn't make all the plays that Joe made with his feet last year, but he is throwing that deep ball incredible. And he is playing a lot better. So he's definitely right up there. Alabama, in my opinion, they gave up all the yardage to Ole Miss, and they got that quickly fixed. So now that Saban, and this is a key thing, if you remember, Saban tested negative 3 days in a row. He's able to coach. Oh, by the way, if you're just tuning in, I'm not going to get into the politics of the state of Georgia, but I did hear from the Secretary of State today, and Kirby Smart officially changed his name today to Kirby I'm Not So Smart. And unfortunately, he did it again. So Bama beats Georgia, and now all of a sudden Georgia's up 14-0 against Florida. And what did Kirby do? He did what he always did. He choked. Florida came back. They started throwing the wheel route, and lo and behold, Kyle Trask, what a quarterback. So he's in the talk with the Heisman, him and Mac Jones. And I think Justin Fields is the third guy. But how about this scenario, JP? Notre Dame. First time Brian Kelly and Notre Dame has beaten a top 5 team since he's been over there in 11 years. Go look up what Coach O's record is against top 10 and top 5. It's pretty darn impressive. So Notre Dame prevails in overtime. They could play Clemson in the ACC championship game. And Florida puts a whipping on Georgia, especially. It makes a statement. And so now they are certainly the odds-on favorite in the East. But look at this scenario. Alabama's going to be undefeated more than likely. They'll play Florida in the SEC championship game the night of December 19th at 7 o'clock. If Florida wins that game, you got 2 SEC teams that deserve to be in that Final Four. Flip it over to the ACC. If Notre Dame and Clemson play in the ACC championship game, Clemson didn't have Trevor Lawrence and they didn't have Skolsky, that bad, you-know-what, beast of a linebacker. Suppose they beat Notre Dame. Now you got 2 in the ACC that are right up there trying to get in the Final Four. I think Ohio State is the only other team that I think can make it. I don't see anybody in the Big 12 or anybody in the Pac-12 that is going to merit serious consideration. And as my good buddy Tim Brando used to say, the fly in the ointment, do you think BYU has a chance to come in the back door?
You would love to hope so. You always love to root for a Cinderella team. Of course, you had the connection with Taysom Hill, so Saints fans got to pull for BYU when LSU Tigers aren't playing them. I mean, it's a fun team to root for. I can't see it happen. Even if they go undefeated.
I don't either.
I don't see it.
I don't see it happening. And, of course, by the way, you're going to need to go to social media here the next 12 to 24 hours because who knows, there could be more games that are canceled.
Great
California, which had their first game canceled, is also in peril of not being able to play this week. Ohio State, Maryland got canceled. Now, back to the SEC. Let's give Greg Sankey, and we certainly criticize him when he botches the hurricane deal with Jeremy Foley and Joe Oliva a few years ago. I want to say 4 years ago in 16, I think. So that being said, they started later, but here's the deal. Everybody got an open date, and they put an extra week in between the final regular season and the 19th, the championship game. LSU, the problem is with this being a postponement, this is going to be the second game that's postponed. So unless they tweak the schedule, it's going to be hard for them to play Alabama. It's going to be hard for them to play 10 games. I'm going to make a prediction that they find a way to get it done, JP.
Like we said earlier, there's just too much money related to where they don't give it their honest college try, their best shot to get these games in. Whatever they have to do, you're going to have to believe that they're going to try to at least do it. If they can get it done, I agree with you. They have to try to play LSU.
And I will say this right now, all of you out there watching in TV land, if you predict LSU to beat Alabama this year, I'm going to give each one of you who makes that prediction and it comes to fruition 10 pounds of Amanda sausage. Every one of you who make that prediction and it comes to fruition.
You heard it here, folks. Get your Amanda sausage from Buddy. If LSU can pull the upset.
Not going to happen.
I think they're really getting ready for Bama this week, and they might have had a shot. We'll never know.
Dude. That would have been 62-6. Hell, how am I giving LSU points? They hadn't scored the last two times in Baton Rouge. Look, Alabama had 5 big-time starters get hurt before last year's season, including Dylan Moses and others.
And that kid's really
I'll
good.
say this for you Tiger football fans. Number one, when you're bored this week, and if you don't like golf and the Masters, put in the tape of some of those 19 games. Put in the championship game. Put in the SEC championship game. Put in the Alabama game from last year. That'll make you feel good. But this one is just not falling in line for you. And the second thing is, I'm hearing it from a lot of people in the last week. You know what that is? I'm getting excited about basketball. Bring on hoops.
Will Wade's getting some players.
Will Wade's they signed 2 players today, a big center and a shooting guard. He continues to knock them dead with recruiting, and he has a roster of double-digit guys. He's got rim protectors, he's got shooters, he's got point guards. You know, the question is this. Can they not just talk about playing defense better, but actually play better defense this year?
Another basketball note, Sharif O'Neal, the son of Shaq, he will be in a Tiger uniform this year. I'm excited to watch him. It's going to be cool and nostalgic. They're going to have stories about Shaq in every game he plays and you watch. I think the kid could play. Came from UCLA. He's been working on his game since he left school. He releases a lot of stuff on social media. I follow him on Twitter. He's very active, posting his workouts, his shoot-arounds. He can handle the ball for a big man. He can move pretty well. If he gets that shot down, Sharif O'Neal not only could be a good defender, but contribute to the offensive side.
He will be the most popular dunker on the LSU team. By the way, folks, and you know, we always say this, whether it's hoops or football. Now, baseball, it's not an important stat. Whether the kid's 5'8", 175 is irrelevant in baseball. Can he hit? Can he pitch? Can he do this? But, you know, Burrow was listed at 6'4". I think when they went to the combo, they actually measured him at like 6'2" and 7/8". So he's really 6'3". Sharif O'Neal listed now at 6'10". So he's got some wingspans. He's a very, very athletic player, can really run. His daddy, I was the first guy to interview his daddy many years ago. Shaq came in here. Feinswag was the beat writer. Everybody was talking to Stanley Roberts and Chris Jackson. Shaq weighed 270 the first year, 292 the second year, 302 the last year. And JP, I was fortunate enough to be in Boise, Idaho, to see Shaq and LSU take on Indiana.
Wow.
And after the game, Everybody knew he was gone, but the good Lord sent us a message. You know what Shaquille O'Neal did in that game, folks? He shot 12 for 12 at the foul line.
Wow.
Look it up.
Wow.
Against Indiana, Boise, Idaho, beautiful little place. Of course, at that time, I don't even know if they had the blue turf for the football.
Right.
But LSU basketball is going to have to, if people live vicariously through these LSU teams, it will start very quickly as they open up the season in about 2 weeks, JP.
Right, just a couple weeks before LSU basketball gets started. Coach Will Wade is fired up to get his troops rolling. It's going to be an exciting year. Of course, LSU was dominant in the SEC 2 years ago. Last year fell off a little bit. Skylar Mays is gone. There's going to be some pieces, some new faces, but a lot of guys came back because of all the uncertainty with the COVID-19. Coach Will Wade very optimistic about his chances in the SEC and in the league. I mean, look, we're sitting here assuming things will get back to normal later on in 2021. When 2020 is over, you gotta hope everything's get back to normal. Of course, they canceled the whole tournament last year. I mean, that's when you knew, in my mind, this is for real. I mean, way back in March, when they canceled the tournament, that's when I was like, wow, they're serious about this corona thing. And here we are in November 11th, we sit here.
I can't spell normal.
We've gone through an election. I cannot
spell normal, and neither can my phone in 2020. And all I can say is I don't drink, but I think come New Year's Eve, I really believe I'm going to have a cocktail to celebrate 2020 being over.
Louisiana in the cone of the storm.
No.
It has been 7 times.
Okay. I thought you were talking about Etta.
Oh, no.
Okay.
She's moved on.
Please don't tell me.
We were in the cone 7 times. I mean, think about how much that just puts on you as a Louisianian, and then everything else you're dealing with.
And look, I just want to tell people out there, I've heard this from a lot of people. And a lot of my friends, hey, man, I'm drinking too much. Hey, man, I'm eating too much.
Yeah.
But
hey, man,
even the more serious issues that we have, and I'm dead serious here, we've had a spike with suicides. And I've had some friends do that, and I've had to talk people off the bridge before.
Yeah.
And folks, if you're out there watching, and you really, really feel like there's nothing left for you to live, please talk to your loved ones, get some help, and remember, we don't live just for earthly life. We live for eternal life. And, please, heck, whoever you got to talk to, but we have had a lot of behavioral problems along with the hurricanes, along with the COVID, along with the contact tracing, along with the virtual school, along with the fact that it's hard for you to go in public to a restaurant and eat with confidence.
The divisiveness.
And so you got to be tough. And, Clarence Buggs does a great job every day here from 11 to 12. But I'm just going to tell you, just like his brother used to say, if you don't believe in God, you better be right.
Yep. He said, that's okay, but you better be right.
I don't know where we'd be without him as far as me and my family.
Right.
And look.
Very well said.
I hope that, seriously, I hope I can spell normal in 2021 because me and my phone can't spell it right now, JP.
I mean, well said. And certainly reach out to someone if you are having those depressed feelings. I mean, depression is a widely non-diagnosed, serious struggle that a lot of people have that don't feel that they have anybody to talk to.
A lot of anxiety everywhere.
There's a lot of anxiety going on. It really is the unknown, but that's, hey, bud man, you know how you deal with all the unknown? They call it faith, and they call it faith for a reason because you have to believe it, you got to walk by it, not only when it's good, but when it's bad. And the good Lord does have a plan. A lot of strife about the politics and the divide of the country and the election, and no matter what, you got to believe that God has a plan and truly live that way each and every day. I know you do, and I know I try to. And, very well said. Don't do a lot of that here on Tigers Roar, but look, 2020, not a normal time. We appreciate y'all, the viewers out there. We want to take care of y'all just like we're trying to take care of each other. Well said, bud man.
And look, all those kids, can you imagine? Now, you've got a couple young kids, and I've never been lucky enough to have any kids. Of course, nobody's stupid enough to marry me all these years, so I can understand that. But I can just imagine what it's like for a 5-year-old or an 8-year-old or a 13-year-old or 16-year-old growing up in these times. And once again, parents, we lean on you to do a job, but please, trust and communication, the two most important factors in any relationship. And I'm going to connect the dots here. I go back to the team meeting. And airing all the differences, they got to get some T&C on that LSU football team so they can start playing a little more free, because you can tell something's not right. Derek Stingley's not playing like 24, and Jacoby Stevens, who's a great young man, not playing like 7. Let's hope they can get it fixed. But have you ever seen a year where 2 games were postponed and you said, it's probably best this week? Really?
That's a great point. We have a whole lot more here on Tigers Roar. We're going to take a quick break. We'll talk to Mike Scarborough from TigerBait.com. Talk some recruiting. LSU's been doing a bang-up job, as always. We'll hear from Mike in just a little bit. Stick it right there. This is Tigers Roar.
Taste the feeling. Hello guys, it's Debbie. It's time. I've got a brand new location. 10510 Airline Highway, Baton Rouge, next to After 5 Tuxedos. We have the perfect spot to get all your wedding and formal wear needs. Come see our one-of-a-kind name brand and get great prices. With 30 years experience, the best customer service anywhere. It's Debbie's Bridal, Airline Highway, Baton Rouge. See you soon.
Hi, business owners. Phase 3. Woohoo! But do your customers know you're back? Well, that's where the Clarence Bugg Show and Pelican Broadcasting can help. Right now, we've got great rates on advertising packages to help you get the word out. Shoot me an email at bugsclarence@gmail.com. Or better yet, call me up. I'd love to talk with you. 225-485-6839. Let's get together and make Phase 3 the best it can possibly be.
Furniture and Appliances, your dependable independent.
Depend on us for service, for selection, for price.
Get huge Whirlpool savings. Shop now and save on Whirlpool appliances throughout the store. Plus, experience our price match guarantee and ask about special financing.
You can depend on the know-how of people who live appliances every day.
Bolello's Furniture and Appliances, your dependable independent with nationwide buying power.
Hi, I am Dr. Farrell Frugier Jr., and I am a general dentist at Frugier Family Dentistry. I was born and raised in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I went to Catholic High School, LSU, and LSU School of Dentistry in New Orleans, where I received my DDS degree in 1986. I always have and will continue to be committed to continuing my education, to invest in technology which makes the diagnosis and delivery of dentistry more thorough, more comfortable, and more aesthetically pleasing. In our practice, we are here to serve the patients. We want to improve their quality of life and to develop relationships with our patients. In dentistry, we have a chance to impact lives on a daily basis, not just by doing dentistry, but by getting to know them and being a part of their life. We also believe in giving back to our community. So every year, we give back to the Greater Baton Rouge Food Bank, Toys for Tots, and Mary Bird Perkins Cancer Center. Please stop by and visit our office. We would love to take care of you and your family.
From appetizers, pasta dishes, and entrees, La Contea takes pride in preparing all the Italian cuisine we know you love. Enjoy live music every Thursday through Saturday from 6 to 9, happy hour weekdays from 3 to 6, and brunch on Sundays from 11 to 2, as well as dinner portion-sized lunch specials for under $10. Visit our website to view our menu and book a party or meeting in our large banquet room. Once you try La Contea, your Italian dining will change forever.
At Team Toyota, Toyotathon is underway. It's your chance to save during our biggest sale of the year. Get our lowest prices and our lowest payments on every new Toyota. Plus, get a complimentary lifetime powertrain warranty with every new Toyota. Right now at Team Toyota.
Welcome back to Tigers Roar. You know, we tape it live over here, so we thought we'd have Mike Scarborough for this segment. We're going to push that back a little bit. We're going to talk some NFL, some New Orleans Saints who have now won 5 in a row and sit atop the NFC South after a dismantling of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We have some first half highlights. We're going to show those in the truck. Katie, if you would, please. I mean, Budman will continue the conversation. Buddy, it started early. Cam Jordan got an early hit on Tom Brady. You kind of felt that the defense had come to play, especially on the front. That's where the Saints really had success, was in the trenches. I mean, T-Rex, Trey Henderson, the guy is 3rd in the league with 7.5 sacks, only behind Aaron Donald and Myles Garrett. Pick it up. I'll
tell you what,
here.
Drew Brees was on from the get-go. You could just tell he was putting the ball where he wanted to. Sean Payton did a great job of bringing in Taysom Hill and calling the right plays as they just go down the field very surgeon-like, as you said. And here's the thing.
That
11 different receivers?
12.
Now that everybody's back healthy, the Saints got a big-time boost with Sanders back, with Mike Thomas back. Hey, this Marquez Callaway, I like him a lot.
That's right. You saw Taysom Hill throw a pass on his first attempt against the Bucs, and it really opened it up. Here's a great play. That was the first play of the show, the intro. Traquan Smith catches a wide-open touchdown. Only had to worry about the toes because the entire defense was worried about Alvin Kamara on that bubble screen.
Yep, no doubt about it. And here was the real key of the game. I hadn't seen the Saints be this physical and tackle like this. Look at Lattimore. He is throwing people around like empty Coke cans.
Right, that's a big man. Ronald Jones, that running back. Drew Brees gets the ball back. The defense did a great job giving it back to him all season. All game. And this kid is what I'm going to say. All season, Devontae Harris has been flashing in the kickoff return. To get him the ball, that would be a big boost for the New Orleans Saints offense.
He is like a water bug. He's almost as fast as Trendon Holiday, but a little stockier. Here, of course, is Murray trying to get the first down. It's very short. And once again, for the fullback to get the first down and keep the drive on. I like the fact that they went for it and did not kick the field goal.
Saints one of the only teams in the NFL to use a fullback. They used theirs well in the game, including giving him the ball. He said Michael Burton getting just enough to get that first down. Sean Payton was in field goal range, but trusted he would get the first down. Went with Burton, and here's the result. Drew Brees with a pump. He moved great in the pocket all game. Here's a fumble by Cook. This is a play you felt could have turned the tide. It was only a 7-point game at that time, but the defense definitely stepped it up big right here after this turnover by Cook.
Jared Cook was struggling to get in the end zone. Unfortunately, they wrestled the ball away, so a turnover, and he also dropped one later on. Of course, here, Tom Brady throwing his first INT of the night to, incomplete to Norris Jenkins. Saints corners and deep leagues played fantastic. And, you know, it felt bad because Gronk looked like he had too much Coca-Cola and partying for the last 2 years, and Brady just looked old and almost almost those things that Brees had been accused of.
That's
like
right.
He's washed up.
That's right. The Brees was washed crowd. They stayed home on Sunday night. None of that talk. Of course, you get Michael Thomas back. He was a big get. You don't realize how much you were missing with the Offensive Player of the Year sitting out for 7 games. He came back. Emmanuel Sanders back from the COVID list. But Adam Troutman, this guy that they drafted out of Dayton.
I loved him.
You knew it would just be a matter of time before the Saints really got him involved with the offense. He had 3 catches, including that touchdown this past Sunday night.
You're not going to believe this. LSU has a player similar to Adam Troutman Troutman, and his name is Cole Taylor, number 87. You may not see him this year, folks, but trust me, there's another great tight end besides Eric Gilbert in Tiger Town. Once again, Drew Brees hitting Taysom Hill. I thought it was the best combination of utilizing Taysom Hill, throwing, running, and catching by Sean Payton the whole year.
That's right. You see Taysom Hill catch a ball in one play, the very next play takes the ball down, hurdles a man, almost gets down inside of the 10. Chris Collinsworth, who is the king of hyperbole, said that Taysom Hill was the most intimidating runner in a league that includes Derrick Henry. I don't buy it, but still, Taysom Hill, a great, great run right there.
Yeah.
When he gets his pads down, he's his force to be reckoned with. There you see a great catch by Emmanuel Sanders. Drew Brees laid it out there. What an extension for Emmanuel Sanders. He's a big get when he's healthy.
Good to have him back. He'd missed the last 2 games and here you finally had some derisive cheers from the crowd. That was their first down,
yeah.
And it was in the second quarter before they got it.
Yeah, Tom Brady looked like the old man. Drew Brees, you see a pick, double tipped, one by Davenport, once again by Cam Jordan. Onyemata, who's had a great season, comes out with the interception. The Saints, who started that celebration, go to take their picture in the end zone.
Yeah, no doubt about it. That is a cool thing to do. And, of course, as we see, the defensive front was really dominant the whole night in this game.
They rushed Brady on 50% of his dropbacks. That's an incredible number. At one point in the fourth quarter, Trey Henderson had a sack or an assist on 3 straight plays. One was taken away from a penalty, but that guy's been balling.
Hill wanted the touchdown right there. He got it very close. And then, of course, Alvin Kamara slips in and gets the score. And all of a sudden, JP, this thing is 28-0. And even though you didn't have many fans there, they started booing.
And here comes Tom Brady's second pick of the day. This is a great tackle right there by Marcus Williams. He's going to make an interception on this play, I believe, and send it to overtime. Marcus Williams would actually stole the interception from Lattimore. Again, I'm early. There you see Leonard Fournette getting the touch. He's been coming along slowly for the Bucs. Wow, I was way off.
Fournette, of course, kind of ironic. Ironic that he's playing against his hometown team, but lo and behold, I think it's coming up right here, and this is going to be down the right sideline.
I'm
incomplete.
early, man. This and 5 minutes
once again,
left.
Turnover. Look, the Saints' defensive line, just watch the duress that Brady threw under versus watch. And there's Gronkowski just a tad bit not working, and Drew Brees and the Saints get the football again.
I tell you what, Demario Davis is one of the best middle linebackers in the game. Did make the Pro Bowl last season, but when you talk about the best linebackers in the game, his name seldom gets called. But the guy's a great leader on and off the field, what he does for the Saints. They see Michael Thompson, another tough contested catch over the middle. That's where you really miss the security blanket when the pocket is collapsing. Where's big number 13 in his reliable hands?
Of course, once again, Drew Brees cutting him up. As you notice, folks, Drew Brees is having plenty of time to throw a lot of Saints plays over the middle, and I thought they had a great mixture. Once again, hey, you got to say Will Lutz has been mighty, mighty consistent as the kicker for the Saints.
Will Lutz, one of the best kickers I ever remember for the Saints. Maybe the best since Morton Anderson. That's going back a ways. Of course, you've had some good ones in between there, but so consistent, such a powerful leg, and he's so accurate.
Of course, here's Tampa Bay. They're still once again trying to get something on the board. At this point, it's 31-0, and we know that here we go. Finally, 43 holds on to the darn INT. I don't think people have forgotten what happened in Minnesota just yet.
Nah, that was a bit. I got to say this about the Minnesota game. I've been in those locker rooms. A lot of those guys, when they have bad games, especially in a big moment like that, when the spotlight's on you and you mess up, a lot of those guys hit the showers early and get out of there for the reporters to let in the locker room. Marcus Williams did not do that. He stood there with tears in his eyes, answered every question. I always kind of pulled for the kid after that. Liked his resolve, liked his attitude.
Yeah.
Glad to see him have some success. Not his first interception of the season, but look, the Saints have put it all together, have everybody healthy, for the most part, and a favorable part of their schedule on top of the NFC South. One of the contenders in the NFC. I mean, you talk about other teams that might contend in the NFC. You got the Packers, the Seahawks, who I think Russell Wilson is a front runner for the MVP, in my opinion. The Buccaneers were once thought to be a top. The Niners and the Rams. All 5 of those teams, especially the Niners, they are so inconsistent. One week they look like world beaters. The next week, they look like they could beat anybody.
Saints playing good ball. Now we're going to go back to what you could say about this year's LSU team and also this year's Saints team. It's not how much success you have, folks. It's how much you can handle. And let's see if the Saints can make a look. I said that was a statement game. Let's see if they can make a definitive statement and beat the 49ers by double digits this weekend in the Dome. By the way, it is a 3:25 start. Oh, by the way, the Masters is on Saturday. It was going to be followed up by LSU Alabama at 5 o'clock. That game, of course, has been postponed. And then the Saints starting, and for those golfers, I'll be watching Saints start, but I'll also be watching the last 9 holes of the Masters. So we're going to have to tweak our punching with the remote control because of all the postponements in the games.
Let's take a quick break. Come back. You'll hear from Coach Sean Payton and quarterback Drew Brees after the post-game press conference after that big win against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Don't go anywhere. This is Tigers Roar.
Sometimes life is wonderful, and sometimes it's not. Cherish the good, but always be prepared for life's challenges. At Private Healthcare, we provide the peace of mind you deserve. With Private Healthcare, you'll get the coverage you want and healthcare you need. If your employer doesn't supply healthcare coverage and you don't qualify for Medicare or Medicaid, you need to give us a call right now. Private Healthcare is private health insurance for ages 65 and under with medical, dental, vision, and even prescription coverage. When life comes at you unexpectedly, you need to be ready, and health insurance is your financial safety net. Health insurance has never been so easy and affordable. If you're looking for health coverage at the best price and your annual household income is $35,000 or more, call the number on the screen now and speak with a live healthcare consultant. Don't wait. Get the coverage you need now.
Hello, guys. It's Debbie. It's time. I've got a brand new location. 10510 Airline Highway, Baton Rouge, next to After 5 Tuxedos. We have the perfect spot to get all your wedding and formal wear needs. Come see our one-of-a-kind name brand and get great prices. With 30 years experience, the best customer service anywhere. It's Debbie's Bridal, Airline Highway, Baton Rouge. See you soon.
Live and play on the fairway at Greystone Golf and Country Club, a serene, challenging golf destination located in Denham Springs. For tee times and membership opportunities, go to GreysstoneCountryClub.com.
From appetizers, pasta dishes, and entrees, La Contea takes pride in preparing all the Italian cuisine we know you love. Enjoy live music every Thursday through Saturday from 6 to 9, happy hour weekdays from 3 to 6, and brunch on Sundays from 11 to 2, as well as dinner portion-sized lunch specials for under $10. Visit our website to view our menu and book a party or meeting in our large banquet room. Once you try La Contea, your Italian dining will change forever.
They said I could find you here. Why are you fishing? Our company's got to ship out 2 full color brochures and 20 color copies. You're killing me.
It's done. Designed, printed, packaged, and shipped.
How?
You just got to know the right people. Baker Printing, the printing people.
How come you get to fish in this private lake?
Like I said, you just got to know the right people. You can know the right people too.
Hi, I'm Bobby Yarborough with Manda Fine Meats. Here at Manda, we know what the folks of South Louisiana love. They love great flavored smoked sausage, delicious deli meats, and specialty items like boudin and andouille sausage. Manda Fine Meats has been providing these products since 1947. We produce them right here in Baton Rouge, so you know you're always getting the freshest product at your local grocery store. Manda Fine Meats. Taste the fresh local flavor in everything we make. Make it Manda every time.
Hello. Hola. 你好.
Experience what the Baton Rouge International School can offer your children. Now welcoming displaced students for short and long-term stability.
All right, folks, wrapping it up on a Wednesday night, November the 11th. Before we get to Mike Scarborough, JP, I know we both want to, along with all of our folks over at Pelican Sports TV, radio, internet, it is Veterans Day, and God bless you, and we thank you from the bottom of our heart for the service. And these are the people that let us live our life the way we do. So all you veterans, we could not do it without you.
That's very well said. I had a grandpa served in the Army as an engineer. Wouldn't be here without him. I miss you every day, Pop, and certainly a thank you to all those who serve. You are the true heroes, and thank you for providing us with the freedoms that we enjoy each and every day.
A lot of conjecture about how this particular season would affect recruiting. Nobody does it as well as Mike Scarborough. He's been doing radio and TV with us for over 20 years. Mike, happy Wednesday, and let's get right into it. You know, it's amazing every Wednesday when we have you on the radio, people are amazed that even though this season is going to hell in a handbasket, recruiting has not been really affected in a negative way. And in fact, Mike, since we last talked to you, Jack Besh, Sage Ryan, Derek Davis Jr., the verbal commitments just keep coming. So if you could kind of give everybody a general overview from what's happened here in the last 2-3 weeks.
Yeah, and Matthew Langlois. So what is that, 3 or 4 safeties and a wide receiver? And, of course, they've had Corey G committed as a safety for months. But just been, you know, we could talk about how bad the football team has looked. And, of course, now there's doubts about the rest of the year and who's going to be able to play and so forth. But recruiting has not suffered.
Hey, JP, we talk about safeties and the need for safeties. I'll tell you, a guy hit me with this, Mike. We didn't have a chance to ask you, but he wanted to know about linebackers, and I know that LSU brought in a bunch of linebackers, Anton Sampa and Josh White and Philip Webb. We really haven't seen much of them. Give us the skinny on the linebackers this year that they have recruited and verbally committed so far.
Well, I think part of it for LSU is, you know, I think that they like the personnel they've got at linebacker, but you're missing the upfront ability that you want in this Bo Pelini defense. You know, we're going to see about Sampai and those guys next year. And then, of course, you got rush ends committed in this class like Savion Jones, Landon Jackson. I think B.J. Ojolari will be a bigger factor next year. But yeah, it's like you can look at LSU's linebacking core and say, you know, where's that all-SEC guy? And certainly Jabril Cox has got the tackle numbers. But that was one of the things when going from a 3-4 to a 4-3, and I know they're not normally in a 4-3, even though they're running a 4-3 guy with a 4-3 coach. But you're still. You know, it's supposed to be defensive line centric. That's why guys like Marlon Favorite and all those guys were excited to have Pelini back, because all of a sudden you would have your defensive lineman with more to do. And I think that's the big problem as to why everybody's focusing on the linebackers, because the linebackers have been such a dominant factor the last several years. Well, they've been dominant since Aranda was there, and that's what his defense did. Yeah. You just got to get better defensive linemen.
Couple of important offensive linemen, couple of important defensive linemen, Mason Smith and Corey Foreman, the D linemen, and, of course, Savion Byrd and Tristan Lee. If you could give our TDV audience the updates on those fours. And let's be honest, JP, we said this earlier a little bit in the show. It's one thing, you got to build the house with the foundation, and I think as we've seen the line of scrimmage play this year, Mike, LSU's got to replenish and develop. They got a lot of good players last year, but you haven't seen much of DeQuaylen Roy and Marcus Dumerville and Xavier Hill and Marlon Martinez and all those guys. So if you could talk about the ending pieces with this class this year, and if it's going to be heavy with in the trench play.
Yeah, I just think on the offensive line, you know, I think Tristan Lee and Savion Byrd from Duncanville, Texas. I have those guys in the probable category to LSU. And then Orgeron keeps talking about a JUCO guy or a grad transfer. I think we'll get a better sense of, you know, what might be the scenarios there, depending on how many vacant spots there are right before Christmas. But at the same time, it's a big factor for him is recruiting the current offensive linemen and see how many of those guys you can get to return. I don't see any scenario where you can convince Ed Ingram to come back for another year with all he had to deal with off the field. I think he's ready to start making some money. But if you can get a Deculus and a Liam Shanahan and then at the same time, like we were talking about earlier today, are you going to get anything in the future from Thomas Perry, Cardell Thomas, and Anthony Bradford that's of note? So, but I do think the offensive line has a real opportunity to be on a lot more solid foundation next year, and then particularly the following years to come, because of 22 and Emory Jones at Catholic High and Will Campbell up at Neville for 2022 in the state.
Now, Mike, we've all seen a lot of tape on Walker Howard, the St. Thomas More quarterback commit. Of course, in a lot of that tape, you see Howard throwing the ball to a pretty good wide receiver out there at St. Thomas More. Tell everybody who committed to the Tigers, Josh Bett.
It's like I'm not going to dare go to another STM game because I went to two and went to a third one because of I got word that Friday morning that Jack Bett had pulled the trigger. But I thought I was done for the year, and now I'm looking at that Karen Crow STM game. That's a huge game. Talk about some great high school football this weekend. STM, Karen Crow, two highly ranked teams. Everybody thinks this Karen Crow team can absolutely win it all. And then Catholic High getting a game with Acadiana at Memorial. Holy smokes! So some big-time football being played. But yeah, Walker Howard, Jack Bett. That combo is going to do a lot of damage this year. But I'm kind of liking some of these games that schools are throwing together at the last minute. We're seeing some matchups that, because of the public-private split and everything else, we wouldn't have normally got to see.
Hey, listen, you mentioned his favorite recruit. Mike has been telling me about Walker Howard, and I finally got a chance to see him. Jack Bett is a guy that doesn't blow you away with his 40 time. But big, muscular, has a knack for going and winning 50-50 balls. LSU, he's 215 right now. We'll see what he grows into. But let me tell you, you got to have a couple, three Jack Bett on the team every year. And Mike, we connected the dots here and ask you about Brian Thomas Jr. and if you think LSU would in fact take 5 receivers in this class if Brian Thomas Jr. wanted to be a part of the class.
I know a lot of people, and it's kind of the reason why people were, and I was that way last week at about this time, discounting Derek Davis, because you're looking at the commitment numbers, and you're like, okay, well, you got to get Mason Smith in there, you got to get Tristan Lee and Savion Bird, and et cetera, and you're like, man, they're at 25, it's over. No, it's not, and I'm told that LSU feels good about where they are with Brian Thomas, and they're not moving on from him, and Jack Bett had no bearing on wasn't a take because they moved on from Thomas or they thought they weren't getting Thomas. I'm told they feel real good about where they sit. So we'll see how it plays out. A&M and Alabama are factors, and that's been the case. But I think we'll see. But look, they're in it with Corey Foreman battling Georgia. I'm told Arizona State's kind of getting in there a bit. But, I think there's going to be some movement here. We're heading right at the midpoint of November, and I think there's going to be a lot to report here in the coming 2 to 3 weeks.
Okay, so 2021, but you think it's a fluid situation. And just to make sure that people understand, Mike, LSU self-reported a situation, of course, with John Paul Funes and the Lady Lake controversy. They went ahead and docked and suggested to dock 4 scholarships for 2 years, a total of 8 scholarships. But make sure people understand that affects the 85 and not the 25.
Yeah, 85, not the 25. And we still don't know, and there's no answer as to when they might find out whether the NCAA accepts that self-imposed. But either way, LSU is operating on what they've self-imposed on themselves now anyways. So it affects the 85, not the 25. They're going to sign a full class.
All right, real quick, positions of need that you think LSU needs to address in the last 5-6 commitments?
Defensive line, offensive line. I think they probably having debates about tight ends and running backs, but the bottom line, the rest of the way is offensive line and defensive line, period.
JP, does it feel like holiday season?
No, it doesn't.
But guess what?
Last week.
Mike has an incredible gift for you. By the way, we hope all of you have a very safe and happy and blessed Thanksgiving. But listen up, Tiger fans. What an incredible gift to give one of your loved ones who is a Tiger fan. I don't care if it's a kid, it's a mom, it's a dad, it's a recruit, it's whatever, Mike. Tell them about the gift cards and how they can get started.
That's it. I haven't started the big promotion, but it's always there. If you go under more at the top of tigerbait.com, hit the pull down more, and you'll see gift cards. And we did a bunch of them last year, and we got loads of feedback because you give an annual subscription to an LSU fan, and that's something they use every day, all year long. And it's probably one of those no-brainers where you ask your loved one who's the LSU fan, what do you want for Christmas, to say, give me the same thing I got last year. Just let it renew.
Hey, last question. Since we've been on the air, are we hearing any more scoop about what they're going to do with the LSU schedule moving forward? And when do you think we'll know something? Maybe by the weekend?
I think they're trying to figure all that out as to what games they can move, what makes sense. I think there's a lot of variables here. We were talking earlier about bowl games and, how late might they try and schedule some games. If you've got matchups that you can schedule late because they're not SEC championship participants. How late can you let some of those go and not conflict with bowls? And could you even see some games being played after a bowl is played? Is that even a scenario that could be feasible?
Right. Hey, once again, remind everybody about Facebook and all the stuff you got on the site right now.
Yeah, go to Facebook, tigerbait.com, tigerbait.com the site, and YouTube, tigerbait.com, and I'm at Scarborough Mike on Twitter.
Going to have a Facebook Live with Preston Guy and Mike Scarborough. JP, you and Mike have the bodies and faces. I got the fat cheeks, so I'm not crazy about getting.
Yeah, I've been carving up for 6 months under.
That's it.
Under COVID, I'm looking like Jabba the Hutt over here.
It was the hurricane snacks for me, Mike.
Keep up the great work, man.
Cinnamon rolls. I got the whole smear over here.
Thank you, buddy. We'll talk with you next week.
All right, talk then. Thanks.
Thanks, Mike. Mike Scarborough, tigerbait.com. Always does a great job. Certainly appreciate everything he does for Tigers Roar. Buddy, you heard about it. Starts and ends with the big uglies. Got to have that solid foundation, offense and defensive line. It's
probably the most disappointing thing as we watched, and I'll tell a quick little 30-second story, but I'm watching and interacting with one of my relatives during the Vanderbilt game, and he texted me back, and, of course, they invariably won that game 41-7, and he says, man, why are you so negative this year? And I said, because they're finesse, not physical at the line of scrimmage. You could see it from week 2.
Yep.
And in the SEC, you've got to protect your quarterback. You've got to run the football. You've got to put pressure. You've got to keep teams from running downhill in the A-gap. And you've got to defend the long ball. And let me tell you something. When Nick Saban says early on in the season, it's not about defense anymore.
Right.
You have to win games on offense this year, not defense. It's only nine years ago that LSU and Alabama played in the game of the century. That was 9-6 in overtime. So, look, it's fun to watch offense. This year it's been a mismatch because of Brennan getting hurt and these freshmen playing. But I think the interesting thing to go forward is, can LSU, with these opt-outs, all these players, can they get some young kids to come up and play better at the end of the year? And can they play a little more physical? And I think it's important. You got to start winning that turnover battle, because when you throw a pick six and then have a fumble returned, you're not going to beat teams that are better than you if you don't take care of the ball. Ball security.
Right.
And, let's be honest. Right now, I think the Saints have a better chance of people being happy with this year than LSU. I'm with Mike. They could beat Ole Miss. They could beat Arkansas. I just don't see how they could pull the upset with A&M, Bama, and Florida this year. I just don't think they've got the players, JP.
Right. Before the season started, for anybody who knew how how this team would turn out or who was going to play, situations. Everybody kind of figured they'd have 3 losses if you were a realist, and not saying they were going 10-0, because there was some of the 10-0 crowd still out there saying LSU was going to pick up right where they left off. Not counting, though, all the players they lost to the draft, to the NFL, to those that opted out, and now with the injuries, it's been a crazy year for LSU across the SEC, really. When you look at week 1, I mean, KJ Costello throws for mind-boggling numbers against LSU Tigers. Everybody's like, what is going on? The next couple weeks, Mississippi State comes out and they lay eggs. It's been an up-and-down year, not much consistency outside of the very top. Florida, Alabama, Auburn, they've been pretty consistent. I mean, not Auburn, A&M.
A&M's top 5 right now. A&M is 5th in the country. Florida's playing really well. Alabama's really playing well. And the interesting little tidbit here that you kind of broached on, LSU sent the kitchen sink and was all-out blitz against Mississippi State, and they set an all-time passing game record in that game. And Bo Pelini has been very leery to blitz since.
Ever since.
You look at the Saints, folks, you got to tackle, but you also have to blitz, and you have to disguise. And when you hear the coach saying every week we got to simplify it, and then you see the way the guys are playing, there's been a disconnect. So there's got to be some come to Jesus meetings and get together. Let's hope they can all get on the same page and give us a little bit of better football here in the last 4 or 5 games.
Saints are 6-2. Their schedule coming up is pretty favorable. They have the 49ers at home. Of course, the 49ers don't have a quarterback. Garoppolo's down. They're playing some guy looks like he's 17 years old. They still have a pretty good defense over there at San Francisco. The team is banged up. Saints don't want to drop that one, though, because then they have the Falcons 2 out of 3 games. Falcons, Broncos, Falcons, of course, as NFC South matchup. But also, since the Falcons fired that coach, that team has looked a lot better under Coach Morris. I mean, they're starting to believe in themselves.
And you know what? I've got a good bit of friends in Atlanta and good, in the Georgia area. And I got some relatives over there, and we tease them because, it's been 40 years since Herschel led them to a national championship. And I don't think that the Falcons have still ever gotten over blowing that 28-3 lead.
Saints fans won't let them get over it.
Patriots. Yeah. So you got to take care of business. The one good thing about the Falcons is that they've got some LSU players. And, oh, by the way, in that Tampa Bay game, how cool was it to watch one of the best linebackers in all of the NFL, and one Mr. Devin White.
We texted about it.
He is a stud.
We texted about it. I mean, the Buccaneers might have the best linebacking core in the game. Of course, you got Devontae.
I know who you're talking about, 54.
54, and then you have Devin White. Them guys fly around the field. Devin White has put on more muscle since he was at LSU.
Oh, if you can man, did you see his guns?
He's exploding out that jersey. There's some big guys, and Devin White still looks big. We texted about it during the game. He's going to be one of the greats. Devin White, always going to be rooting for Devin White. Buckets Award winner, a leader for LSU. Still riding his horse around town. A great kid, Devin White. Saints in good shape. NFC could go through New Orleans. We'll see if they can put it all together, keep it all together. Sean Payton calling the right plays finally. And I would like to thank you guys for tuning in to Tigers Roar. Don't forget, we'll be back next week at this time, Wednesday, 8 o'clock. Tigers Roar, don't miss it. Budman, Buddy Songy, John the Poche. Thanks for tuning in.
That's right.